Phasmophobia's launch on PSVR2 has been a mixed bag, to put it lightly. However, after sinking about 12 hours into this game over the last couple of days, I think honestly, despite the jank, despite the roughness of the port, which has also got an update today, so we'll be covering that as well, Phasmophobia is still so much fun. Despite the technical flaws that it still has and the jank that comes with Phasmo in VR, nothing beats jumping in with a group of friends and hunting ghosts for a couple of hours. So today we're going to be talking about it, the initial reactions to the game, whether I think it's justified, the fixes that have been made in today's patch, and more. Before that though, only 25% of you are subscribed, so if you feel like subscribing to the channel for PSVR2 related content, please feel free to do so. Anyway, let's get stuck in. First and foremost, let's take a look at the initial reception to this game, because I am not innocent in this, in perpetuating that the game was not in the best state at launch and still has a couple of problems. But on launch day, I jumped in for the first time and did a technical analysis of the game, looking at the resolution, the frame rate, the jank, the interactions, the mechanics, all that good stuff, and how it works on PSVR2. And I advise people that this is Phasmophobia in its full form, and if you've been looking forward to the game, pick it up because it is fantastically fun. But if you're a stickler for technical stuff in VR and want the best resolution, the best frame rate, no reprojection, and no jank, you might want to steer clear. And on the one hand, I kind of regret being so harsh to it in my opening video, because despite all this junk, it still is a fantastic and fun game. But also, I have to do my due diligence as a reviewer, even in first impressions video and technical impressions videos like that, because otherwise I'm pretty much lying to you saying that the game is fantastic and flawless when it really wasn't. However, I still think it's found a place in the PSVR2 community as a bit of a hidden gem, not because nobody knows about it, but because it's buried under a lot of jank and a couple of issues. However, today Hotfix v11.0.1 was dropped, and that fixed a couple of the issues that people have been complaining about in the game, and I've also been complaining about. I'm with you guys on this one, but today the patch went out that fixed the doors shaking and playing a loud noise when grabbed, which has been a little bit annoying. My door opening technique for this game is just to grab the door and walk forward, and it kind of opens with you. You can now smooth turn and walk at the same time. Thank God. Whenever I was being chased by a ghost, I just had to turn with my real body, because otherwise there was no way in hell I'd be getting out of that situation. They also did a fix for foveated rendering, but only to fix ghosting on the main menu. For some reason, foveated rendering still does that weird earthquake warping effect that it always has. That is the fix we need for foveated rendering, not whatever they're talking about here in the patch notes. I would still say do not enable foveated rendering. It just makes everything turn incredibly wibbly. Wait for a fix on that one. One of the big points here as well is that they lower the density of the fog on PSVR2. This, honestly, I was a bit confused about. I thought it was something due to technical limitations, but obviously here now they've shown it isn't. Essentially, when you load into some of the maps, some of them have really high fog density, so you can't really see much in the street around the houses that you're in. And one, this means it's less immersive because you feel a little more isolated. It's not like you're in really a real place. And also for content creation, it was so difficult to try and basically color grade and color correct and get footage into a place where it's watchable for you guys, so that'll help with this. Clearly though, it was just an artistic choice, I guess, that they've now corrected due to feedback, so that's good to see. And honestly, apart from the DFR fix that hasn't come yet, those are the main issues of the game that I had, and they've all been ironed out just a couple days after launch. That does beg the question, why didn't they playtest this before and fix it before launch? Because now some people who bought it at launch are feeling burned of their purchase, which is fair enough. But nonetheless, it's good to see it's fixed now. That being said, I still feel like Phasmophobia in its previous state, and especially in its current state now, is a game that some people are really going to enjoy, and I've seen them enjoying it on the Reddit forums, on Twitter, on YouTube. There's been a ton of love for this game despite the issues. And that, I think, is because there's just nothing like it. It's not that often when we get co-op games like this on PSVR2 that don't involve just mindlessly shooting hordes. This is more nuanced, more in-depth, has a fantastic use of proximity chat, a radio system, and various gadgets for you to get your hands on. And it's also a game you can play with your flat screen friends, so if you've got a friend group who are interested in co-op games like this but they don't have VR, you can still play with them, which is just a massive bonus. It's definitely a game where after a couple of hours you start to feel the loop a little bit more, especially if you're going through the same maps. And eventually the scary nature of it does wear off a bit, but it still is incredibly fun despite that. And even more so when you add in the VR integration, where all of your movements are translated perfectly on screen for other people, whether they're in flat or in VR with you. Another reason I think this is having a bit of a cult following and why I really love it as well is that if you jump online with randoms, most of the time you're not going to be put in lobbies with squeakers. Now, if you've played a lot of Pavlov, or if you're going to play Gorilla Tag when that comes out next week, you'll have encountered and will encounter this a lot. Those games, because of a bit of a lower barrier to entry and mindlessly shooting and running around and grabbing things instead of trying to figure out which type of ghost it is in Phasmophobia, which is a little bit more complex, encourage a much younger user base, and older PSVR2 users, unless they can get say 10 people in a lobby together to play TTT on Pavlov, aren't really going to have anywhere to go in the online matchmaking space, aside from maybe the 1 week that Firewall Ultra was populated. But Phasmophobia fixes that. It's a game where you can hop online and find groups with really funny and entertaining people, because 1, it encourages that older user base, and 2, you'll be matchmaking with PC players, Xbox players, and flat-screen PS5 players, which really shortens that matchmaking time and makes it so that you can find a game at pretty much any time of the day, which alleviates one of the problems of multiplayer in virtual reality. Overall, despite the jank and the technical hitches, I have been loving Phasmophobia, and I'm not ashamed to say so. It has been such a blast, and I continue to play it. We're going to continue with the Phasmo files over the next couple of days and weeks. I'm really enjoying editing those together, and to be honest, it's a really fun time making them. The launch of this game, despite its blemishes, has taken me back to the start of PSVR2 when Pavlov launched, and the tens of hours that I dumped into that, from sunup to sundown over the first couple of days, just messing about in lobbies and having fun in an entertaining VR game, and to me that's what it's all about. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Have you enjoyed Phasmophobia? Have you not bought it because of the technical issues? Are you now going to buy it because most of them have been sold? Please do let me know. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to our patrons and YouTube members: Luke Bentley, Phil Irving, Hazit Mirza, Ace Gamer, Hippie Pickle, Jin007, A License to Chill, Sun WCF, Fat Controllers, The Game Cat, Andrew Ehrenreich, Jason Parker, Lamar Hall, Jordy Bansman, Lemon64K, Alcas VR, Profi777, Gundy, Salvador David, Gephardt, Lauren Thor, Spencer Drake, and Macho X3, The Real Estate Procrastinator Game Cat. That's a lot of people. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you all in the next one.